disgusting. Sweet. Oh. Happy Halloween, everybody! Happy Halloween! I apologize for my tardiness. I didn't think they were going to make you guys stand outside. I thought you'd all be seated and having a good time. But I'm coming from autographs, and autographs before a panel, never a good idea. Right? Because, you know, people have been waiting in line for ages. I'm not going to be like, okay, I got a panel to go. See you later, guys. So.
Not because of schedule that doesn't have you in it.
Yeah.
Well,
you need to download the online one.
Technically today I am Waldo's secret agent, deep undercover. So yeah, we kept very quiet about this whole thing. Actually, how did you guys find it? There's a mole. There's a mole somewhere. Waldog, this is unacceptable. Oh, he's angry. Have a pixie stick. Oh, look, they match. Oh, they match. All right, buddy. You can hang on to these for me. Excellent. Okay, I have limited vision through here, but whatever, it's Halloween. Did I already say Happy Halloween? Yes. I'm gonna say it again. So I'm a big Halloween nerd, obviously, so Yoma's amazing because it almost always happens around Halloween, and today is Saturday, and it's Halloween, and here we are at an amazing convention, so yay us, and yay Halloween. And good, you know what? But a good secret agent is always prepared. There you go. Oh, you're so pretty. Okay, so have any of you been at any of my panels before, previously? Okay, so you may recall that, you know, in the program guide it'll say, you know, Brad Swaile Q&A. First off, it's spelt wrong. It's Q&A, and it should be Q&EH, because I'm Canadian. So instead of a Q&A, it's a Q&A. Welcome, hey guys, I'm sorry about the wait. Welcome to my Q&A. Hey. All right, now that we've got all the stereotypes out of the way. I should probably introduce myself. Yeah, so my name is Brad Swaile. Is that what they have me in the program, guys? I'm Brad Swaile. I didn't know that. I've been spelling it and pronouncing it wrong my entire life. So thank you, Youmacon, for correcting that for me. So I spent most of my autographs correcting the type in the program guide. So I am actually Brad Swaile. It's true. I'm a voice actor from Vancouver, BC, Canada, and I'm psyched to be back here in Yoma. And what I was saying previously is, so my panels that I've done in the past, they usually say Q&A, and I always turn them into more of a show and tell. So I usually I'll have a laptop and I'm, you know, showing videos or costumes and things like that. And sometimes I'll have my guitar out and I'm playing songs. And I realized that it's kind of misleading when you arrive to a Q&A and it's just me being a total idiot up here and showing all the stuff that I've been doing over the last year. So today, because I do have my guitar, but I've been playing with, you know, a couple of bands that are here and stuff, so I'm like, you know what? We're going to do something a little out of the norm and actually treat this like a Q&A. So if you, what a disappointment. Or I can just attempt to juggle for the next, 45 minutes. We have options here. Yeah. I can juggle candy, I suppose. So I'm hoping that you guys have some Q's so that I can give you some A's. Otherwise, I'm just going to look at you creepily until our time is up, and maybe have some sugar in the meantime. So let's get right to it. Like I said, I'm a voice actor from Vancouver, and I've worked on some shows. Do you guys ever, have you heard of anime? Do you know what anime is? Okay. Right.
What's anime?
I don't know, I was hoping you were going to tell me. Yeah, I was going to ask the questions and you were providing me with the answers today. I thought that sounded, oh, I misread it. Okay, my mistake. Oh, my mustache is getting in the way. It tickles. So yeah, I've worked on some cartoons and things over the years. Let me know if you've heard any of these shows and I'll try and think of some. So my very first cartoon series that I worked on was a show called My Little Ponytails. Anybody know that? Okay, cool. All right. You don't have to applaud for it.
I was a fan when I was a kid.
No, I'm still a fan. I was a pony. So that was my very first cartoon, and that was when I didn't really realize that I'd never made the connection between like voice acting and what actually arrives on Saturday morning cartoons, or what used to be Saturday morning cartoons. Yeah, I don't know. What do people do on Saturday mornings now? Sleep, I guess, right? There's no point in getting up. Yeah, I'm just gonna stay in bed. If there's no cartoons for me to watch, what's
Saturday morning streaming cartoons?
Okay, we have technology. We have a workaround. That's fantastic.
Tsunami Aftermath.
Yeah.
24 hours streaming.
24 hours from now. Wow. Jeez. Times have changed. When I first got started, there were things called videos.
VHS.
They came in cassette form, and you put them into a video player called a VCR. And then you could watch your favorite shows. But after you were done, you had to rewind them back to the beginning. God, that's something that I just realized now, that we don't have to do that anymore. You're done with the show, and you're like, click, done. Not, I want to get to episode 2, but then you get lazy, you're like, okay, good enough. And the next time you try and watch, you're like, why is it halfway through? It's ridiculous. But times have changed, you see. We have technology at our backs now. Okay, so let's see. Some other shows that I've worked on. Where do I start? Are there any Gundam fans in here? Okay. So I got to work on Gundam Wing, which is my first Gundam series. All right, nice. My very first anime series was a show called Ranma 1/2. Yeah, nice. Okay, awesome. I think the day that I show up at a convention and I mention Ranma 1/2 and nobody knows what I'm talking about is the day that I'm like, okay, I think I'm done. I think that means that my tenure is over. But it hasn't happened yet, and I don't see it happening anytime soon because I was autographing a bunch of Ranma stuff today too, and it puts a big smile on my face, which you can't see under the mustache, but it's there. Just trust me. So Ranma was my first anime series, and then I got to work on like 5 Gundam series, which was pretty cool. And then I had an audition for a little series that you probably haven't heard of called Dragon Ball Z. And that was pretty sweet because like I played Gohan on Dragon Ball Z, and it was like Teen Gohan, so there was Kid Gohan. So they had already been recording that when I got the call for the audition. And I was psyched. But I was terrified too. I'm like, I can't screw this up, man. My cousins and things, my little cousins would be like so disappointed. Like, you had a shot to be on Dragon Ball Z and you blew it? I'm like, sorry guys, I'm a failure. I shamed my family. So when I got that phone call saying that you got the part, I was psyched. And so I brought in posters and things for my first recording session, and had like all the cast sign them, and I gave out to like my family members and things that were big DBZ fans, and I was like a superstar for a little bit, right? I'm like, yeah, I know these people. No big deal. And then I've worked on, it's been a lot of shows. Hamtaro, yeah, I see people nodding, that's cool. Death Note, Death Note, Black Lagoon, Project Arms, Mega Man Anti-Warrior, X-Men Evolution, Transformers Energon, Barbie. I already said Hamtaro. Kimba the White Lion. I don't know. Okay, yeah, nice. Anyway, this isn't an IMDb panel or a Wikipedia panel, so let's stop beating around the bush. Does anybody have any questions or comments or donations or anything like that? Yeah, thank you.
What's been some of your favorite characters to play?
I hate them all equally. No, it's not true. It's tough. Like, a lot of times I will get the question, what's your favorite? And that's really impossible to choose because it's like picking your favorite child if you have kids, right? It's just a disservice to all the other ones, and then they feel slighted. So I've been pretty fortunate to work on some of the series that I've worked on. So, if we go back to Ranma, Moose from Ranma 1/2 is one of my favorite characters because he was my first taste of working on anime. And the only anime that I had really, well, okay, not the only, but the first anime that that kind of grabbed my attention was a movie called Akira, or Akira if you prefer. You guys familiar with that? So I watched that, not when it came out, I can't remember when it was released, but I ended up watching it with some friends of mine when I was in high school. And it blew my mind. I didn't know that animation could look like that. You know, like crazy and violent and beautiful all at the same time. So I'm like, oh, other countries have animation too, and theirs is a lot more risque than ours. Where can I get my hands on more? So when I started working on some of these anime series, that I was already familiar with things to some degree, and it was pretty sweet. So when we got to the first Gundam series, like I said, it was Gundam Wing was the first one that I got to work on, and I was psyched. Giant robots, you can't go wrong with that, right? And then. So Katra from Gundam Wing was, another one of my favorites. I'm totally cheating with the answer to this question, but I don't care. It's my panel, whatever. I'm all jacked up on sugar, so this happens.
One more.
I'm eating my mustache too. This is a problem. You know what? There we go. So then, Gundam Wing was probably the series that really, for me, really made anime seem extremely popular in North America, because that show just blew up. So it's because of Gundam Wing that I got invited to my first convention. And I didn't even know that these things existed. I'd heard of, conventions, but I was thinking more like, Star Trek conventions and things, and so I pictured them a certain way. And then I got invited to my first anime convention because of Gundam Wing. And I realized, oh, this is a lot different than I thought it was going to be. It's like Halloween for 3 days in July. I'm like, perfect. This is a good fit for me. I'm a big Halloween nerd, so, if I get to, celebrate Halloween, multiple times throughout the year, then I'm a pretty happy camper. Can't really go wrong with that. So Gundam Wing's done, and then I got an audition for another Gundam series, which I was pretty psyched about, and this was the original Mobile Suit Gundam, which they were calling First Gundam at the time. And so I read for the main character, Amuro, and I got it. So now I was super stoked, because I'm like, hey, I'm the original Gundam pilot, how cool is that? Especially, it's even cooler now that they have like a full-size Gundam in Japan. Have you guys seen that thing? Sweet. It's only moved once. Like when they put it up, it was in one place, and I think they took it down and moved it somewhere else. So it's really only moved once, and I have to apologize for that. Totally my fault. I misplaced my keys. Yeah, so like, it's just kind of there right now. I'm still looking for the keys, like it's a problem. It's really tricky to hotwire a Gundam. I don't know if you tried it, but anyway. So at one point I would like to go to Japan. I was there once, but it was when I was like 12 years old, before all this madness. So I would like to go back, and hopefully get to visit my Gundam. Maybe get a new set of keys. I think I have spares somewhere too. What I would really like to do is I have 2 cosplay outfits of Amuro from Gundam, and for any of you that have seen the series, it was made in like the late 70s, early 80s, so it's got that kind of look to it. And I know it's like a futuristic show and all that kind of stuff, but in the first episode, Amuro is wearing like a powder blue leisure suit. He's got this great like 70s wig, and so I have 2 outfits, because I just dig it. It just looks so... So I cosplayed as Amuro at one point in the powder blue leisure suit, and then, I don't know if any of you were here last year, I actually put on a little skit in the masquerade where I donned my second Amuro costume, which was, again, the powder blue leisure suit, but I turned it into an Elvis-style jumpsuit and performed the closing credits song, which is called Amuro, because it's got a very Elvis vibe. So I basically did like my Elvis Amuro. So the thought on that was that, okay, so let's say that the show came out, or even, in real life this was happening, and then Amuro became popular for his, fighting style and all that kind of stuff. But then things kind of started to slow down for him, and he hit the Vegas circuit, and was like, you know what, I'm gonna try this singing thing. So it was like, out of shape Amuro up there on stage in the big crazy jumpsuit and singing as a lardo in Japanese. That's what I did last year. So Amuro is one of my favorite characters too. See how I'm not answering the question, but just opening my mouth and words are coming out, and who knows. Okay, so sticking with the Gundam theme, so then I got called for another audition for a Gundam series. I'm like, yeah, killer. And so this was a show called Gundam Seed. And so I walked in there and I'm all excited. All right, Gundam, here I come. You know, I've been lucky so far. I got on both shows and I've played some pretty fun characters. Let's see what this one has in store. So I walked in the studio and I was like, yeah, so here I am reading for another Gundam series. And they go, okay, so Brad, you're familiar with the Gundam world by now? I said, yeah, I worked on 2 shows. I'm psyched about it. He goes, okay, so all your natural instincts towards a Gundam character? I'm like, yes. They go, do the opposite. Okay. So they had me read for a character named Diarca. So instead of the young, energetic Amuro type voice, it was the dark and brooding Diarca voice. Nerve links restructured. Calibration set. It'll move. Damn. I got to say damn a couple of times. And I got it. So I was psyched. Like, yeah, all right. So then Gundam Seed turned into Gundam Seed Destiny, and Diarca lived, which is always a plus. You know, that's always a bonus in the Gundam world, because I've been killed off 1,000,000 times over in the Gundam world as, like, you know, Pilot 39F, who has one line and it's no! And then he, kaboom, right? Okay, and he's not coming back in the sequel. No spin-off series for him. He blew it up real good. So in Gundam Seed Destiny, Diarca lived, so I got to voice him, and they gave me another character as well named Aul, which was a lot of fun to play. My take on him, just because of how he looked and what I knew about the character, I just did like a poor man's interpretation of like Cobra Commander from G.I. Joe, and that was my Aul voice. So, okay, a little side story, that's a spoiler, but if you haven't seen the show, too late. It was out a long time ago. I've told the story before, but it's a fun one for me to tell, so I'll say it again. So Diarca was another one of my favorite characters, and then Aul became one of my favorites because he was just a cool character to play, and it was spoiled for me at a convention that Aul was not going to make it through the end of the series. So that kind of brought in a big black cloud over my head, knowing that this was happening. So every time I went into a session, I was like, guys, you could have told me. And they're like, what are you talking about? I said, I know what's going to happen to this guy. And they're like, ooh, yeah, we just didn't want to say anything because it seemed kind of like inappropriate. Like, well, now that I know, I'm just, you know, dreading the day that it happens. Is today that day? And they're like, no, you got 5 episodes today. I think next time it's going to be the end for you. I'm like, okay, well, I'll just enjoy today. I'll deal with tomorrow when it comes. So then, you know, a month later or whatever, get called back in. Okay, guys, how many episodes am I doing? We got 5 episodes for it. But I thought I was doomed in this. Oh, no, I think that's next batch. Oh, okay. Do you know what I've been going through the last, you know, month? Knowing that, you know, my death was coming. It's like I went and saw a psychic and they're like, you are doomed. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to live every minute to its fullest until that day. So I went and recorded. And then the next session that I was in there, I'm like, guys, like, it's official. 2 episodes and then you're done. Like, okay, all right, I knew this was coming. The therapy's paying off. I have a really good group that I've joined, and it's an anonymous group, and it's treating me very well. I drink more than I used to, but that's okay. There's another group for that. I'm ready for that transition. That'll be next. So the thing that I was thinking is, okay, so I've died 1,000,000 times over in the Gundam world, but I'd never been killed off as one of like the main characters. So I'm thinking, okay, well, this is going to be my chance to kind of exercise some demons and have, at the very least, an epic Gundam death scene. Perfect. Okay, I'm excited about this. Because I had died in a bunch of different ways in the Gundam world. I'd been blown up, I'd been thrown through things, and all sorts of different ways. And a lot of them were pretty epic in scale as far as, you know, it was either a big or a no, or a what the kaboom, right? All fun ways to go. In animation. Probably not so much in real life. So I was looking forward to how this was going to turn out. And it turns out that there is, you know, a battle with Gundams. And the Abyss Gundam, which was the Gundam that Aul was piloting, doesn't really, like, explode or get like cut in half or anything like that. What happens is he ends up getting impaled. So I'm like, okay, interesting. So we watch the animation, and there's no big shout to the heavens, no, or what the, or ah. So my big triumphant death as this character sounded a little something like this. Done. Because he takes like a big spear right through the cockpit and it goes right through him. He doesn't have time to scream. It just happens so abruptly. And then he sinks to the bottom of the ocean. I'm like, alright, is there a therapy group for this? Like, it's pretty specific. I don't know, I'm still searching. So if you guys find something, inadequate death scene, remorse or something like that, sign me up. So there you go. So another one of my favorite characters. Okay, so continuing with the Gundam thing. Well, we could talk about Gundam for 2 hours probably. So I got called in for another audition for a Gundam series. And at this point, I think they were kind of done with me. They're like, we're not going to cast Brad for another Gundam series because it seems like, he's got blackmail photos or something and he's bribing his way or, blackmailing his way to the series. And it's starting to look bad on us. But they're like, he's an excitable person and he'll probably cry if we say no. So we'll bring him in, we'll let him read, and we'll just, let him down easily, and then we'll sign him up for another group because he seems to be collecting these things. So, little side notes. This is how I got to start reading for characters like Light and Death Note, because I think the industry's been slowly driving me crazy. So it's not acting, it's basically I've just becoming more crazy. And it's like, just put Brad in there because he doesn't even have to act, he's just losing his mind. So I read for a series called Gundam 00, and I kind of got the impression that they were just bringing me in as a formality, right? Just to be nice, because they're amazing people in this industry. And so I read for Setsuna, and all my stories are tangenty, they're tangent-esque. So I was at a convention, I think it was, what was it? I want to say it was like the weekend before I went into this audition for 00. So I got the call saying you have an audition on Monday, and I was going to a convention that weekend, and I was flying back out on Sunday. So it was in Toronto, I remember that. And so I was doing an autograph session, and these two guys came up to me towards the end of the lineup, and they were talking about this series Gundam 00. They're like, we really hope that you end up working on this show. I said, well, and then I just bit my lip, because I'm not allowed to say anything about any of this stuff, right? So they're basically saying, okay, so we're hoping that it goes to Vancouver and that you guys get to record it, and this is the character that we want you to play. And they hold out like a little gashapon figure of Setsuna. And I'm like, oh, I still want to tell these guys that I have an audition for this very character tomorrow, but I can't. So I'm like, oh, that's cool, I'll see what I can do. Hopefully we get to record it, and hopefully I get cast. And then I'm like, that's cool, thanks for showing me. They're like, no, here, you take it. It's gonna be like, hopefully good luck. I'm like, okay, cool. So now I'm thinking, oh, no pressure. They've given me like an action figure of the character that they want me to play, and now I'm going in to read for it, and I'm not scared at all. I'm like, no, that's fine, it doesn't matter. It's just, fate. And I'm also thinking the whole time, like, they don't want to cast me, I'm used up in the Gundam world. So I went and read, and one of the producers was telling me afterwards, when they ended up casting me as Setsuna, that they were going through and listening to the voice reels and whatnot, and they got to mine, so hi, this is Brad Swaile reading for Setsuna, and they're like, oh god, here we go. And then they listened to it, and they turned to each other and they went, damn it, that's Setsuna. Alright, call Brad up, he's in. So I got the call, and I was so stoked. So I actually went back to Toronto, a while later after we had recorded, and I saw those guys, and I basically thanked them. I'm like, I think you guys are the reason that I ended up on this show. You put the good mojo out there in the world, and you gave me a little action figure, and it totally paid off. So I'm like, next time I have an audition, I'm gonna fly back out here, and I want you guys to give me some good mojo again. Seems to be working pretty well. So Setsuna is my favorite character, because of all that. And here ends the Gundam chapter. You know what? Save me with another question. Yeah, because I'm just going to keep going.
I actually have two questions.
Oh, okay. Good luck with getting answers to those.
First question.
Yeah.
Would you like to sign two things
You know what? I'll do them right now. That's not really a question. That was more of a demand. In a very nicely phrased way. Okay, let's start with your secondary question, maybe? We'll see. You don't have one. That was a lie. You totally tricked me. Trick or treat. That was a trick. I learned a valuable lesson. Okay, did you have a question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your first? I have two. What was your first?
Okay, do you actually have two, or are you just pretending you have two? You can bring those things up, by the way. I can multitask, I think.
What was your first Halloween costume, and what was your favorite Halloween costume?
Oh, what was my first Halloween costume? I have no idea because I was too young and I had no say in it, right? I was dressed up as, I was probably like a pumpkin or a clown or something like that. The first one, so the first one that I remember where like I kind of got to choose my outfit, and you know, so I'm not a young guy, right? Not anymore, but I used to be a young guy. So costumes back in those days, I mean, they still have them. They're kind of the same now. They're just built better and they're more convincing. But in those days, like, there wasn't as much detail in costumes, I guess. You know, like, I don't think conventions like these weren't, like, if they were around, they weren't at the scale that they're at now. So there was really nothing to compare it to. So now, I mean, if you come to, you know, any kind of cosplay event at any convention, it doesn't matter what theme it is, those costumes kind of set the standard for what people expect. So if you go to a Halloween rack in, like, you know, a department store afterwards and you see these god-awful paper-type costumes, you're like, I can do better than that. But back in those days, that was kind of the norm. So like the first one that I remember I was kind of able to choose myself, it was basically a garbage plastic mask, like just a throw-out plastic mask, and like some weird tarp bib material that you would kind of sling over your neck and wear here, and there it would have like an image on it, and that was supposed to be convincing. But the character was like the devil. So like, I don't know how I got away with that. Like, you know, my parents are, you know, amazing people, but you think that they would guide me in a more sane direction than the devil. But they're like, I guess it's his choice. We asked. We're on that fault. Yeah, we were gonna make him a clown again, but yeah, we let him choose, and now he's the devil. So they signed me up for a group. That's how it all started. I think I might have been R2-D2 at one point too, which is really funny. Like, I got two nephews. They're not as little as, I used to say my two little nephews, but they're getting bigger now too. But it's really strange, you know, shopping birthday presents and Christmas and things like that, just seeing what they're into. It's amazing how much we have in common. And it's not because I'm a cool uncle. It's because we like the same damn things. I grew up with Star Wars, G.I. Joe, Transformers, Ninja Turtles. And what are they into? Star Wars, Transformers, Ninja Turtles. Like, nobody has new ideas anymore, which is perfect for me because I already know everything about, you know, the stuff that they're into because it just keeps kind of coming back. And like, Star Wars is coming out again in December, right? Like, who's psyched about the new movie? Whoa! Yeah, guilty. So the previous movies, tangents, like I said, tangents. There's an answer in here somewhere. So the first movies for the Star Wars were always released in like spring, early summer, that type of thing. And now because it's kind of going in a new direction, I like that they're doing a December release. And I'm claiming that they're doing that in honor of my birthday. Because I'm a December baby and we get the short end of the stick. So how do you make up for years and years of short sticks? You give me Star Wars as a birthday present, and I thank you for that. So, thank you, Disney. Good job. No worries, bro. It's supposed to be Mickey Mouse, but it sounded more like that weirdo dude in Hercules. Come on, Herc! Oh, okay, that's an old cartoon that you should never watch. Yeah. Olympia! Did I answer the question? Okay, no, it was a two-part question, though. It was a two-part question. The first question was, what was my first Halloween costume? So I'm going to say either R2-D2 or the devil. Now I think my R2-D2 was actually underoos. Do you guys know what underoos are or were? I don't know if they still have them or not. Okay, alright, well for those of you that don't, so as a child, used to also be able to get outfitted in underoos, which was like an undershirt, so it was just a cheap old t-shirt, and then a pair of underwear, like jockey style underwear. This was before, Tommy Hilfiger came out with boxer briefs and stuff, before Ricky Mark was, displaying his abs on billboards in the long, long ago. And so it was very similar to the Halloween costumes, basically. You'd get a shirt that had like kind of a garbagey picture on it, and then you'd get matching underwear. And so I think my R2-D2 was actually a knockoff R2-D2. Like it was, droid spelled with like 2 eyes or something, and it was more green than blue. So I think my first answer was actually more correct. I was the devil. My favorite costume, let's see. So then I became a big nerd as far as Halloween goes, and I learned how to sew. So it's too early for this. I think it was in grade 8 life skills. I don't know if you guys have something like this, but so we had a class in grade 8 called life skills, which meant that every few weeks we'd have a different thing that we were doing. So it was like woodworking, electronics, metal shop, but then we had like sewing, cooking, all these things. So I did pretty good in sewing, surprisingly. I had never really done anything before. And then, so I got a good grade in that and then never touched it again. Until one Halloween, and me and a buddy of mine were renting this great house, and we were gonna have this killer Halloween bash, because we had this new place that was pretty well set up for a party. So we had this crazy Halloween party, and I wanted to be Snake from Metal Gear Solid. Did you guys know that video game? Okay, it was kind of pivotal at that time in my life, and Snake became like my hero. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do Solid Snake. How do I do that? So I borrowed my mom's sewing machine, and because he's got like a lot of like SWAT type gear and strapping and things like that. So I had remembered from my grade 8 sewing weeks how to make the thread go through all the things on the machine and come out the right way. And I knew that there was something called a bobbin that had to go somewhere. I didn't know exactly what it was for, but I knew that there was one other thing that like a trap door, and then something went in there. So I tinkered around with that for a little bit, made it work, and that was kind of the beginning of my Halloween career, because then every subsequent year I had to do something that kind of topped that, and I learned skills from the previous years, so I just kept going. So my favorite costume that I made, and I've done, over the years, I've done several, but I was Aragorn from Lord of the Rings at one point. I've done Indiana Jones, another series that I had in common with my nephews, which is weird. I was Ash from Evil Dead. That was one of my favorites, just because I love the movies. What else have I done? Hot Rod. That's an obscure one. Captain Jack Sparrow at some point. But one of my favorite costumes that I made was Han Solo riding a Tauntaun. Because it's ridiculous, right? I had never really done like a Star Wars themed costume, and I was a big fan of Star Wars, so it didn't really make sense to me. So I got this idea, like, if I was going to do like a Star Wars character, I had to have to be Han, because he was my favorite as a kid, right? I used to like running around the schoolyard, I was always Han Solo, with a blaster, and I'd always stolen a lightsaber from somebody. So I'm like, okay, well, gotta be Han. Well, what's my favorite Han? Well, I kind of like Empire, so, Han on Hoth or something with the jacket and the goggles and everything would be cool. I'm like, Han on a Tauntaun, that'd be awesome, because, he's on a Tauntaun for like a split second, whatever. I'm like, that's stupid and silly. And wait a second. So I grabbed my sketchbook and I started drawing it out, and I came up with a costume where, my legs are actually the Tauntaun legs, and I got the little dummy Han Solo legs hanging off the side, and I built it. And I actually brought that with me. I had started making it, but I brought that with me to a convention when it was only partially done, because it was a convention that Carrie Fisher, who played Princess Leia, was going to be at. So it was kind of like an excuse to show off my progress with this, because Leia was there and I was all geeked out. So that's what I did. And then I did bring that here a bunch of years ago, because Halloween, I think, was on a Sunday, so I brought 3 costumes. And that's one that I think I was, pretty happy with. I think Jim Henson would have been proud of me. And for a guy whose favorite movie is The Dark Crystal, which is a Jim Henson movie, it was like, yay, Dark Crystal. So it was ridiculous. I put a zipper on the back of the Tauntaun's head so you could put my hand in there and make him like talk, and his eyes blinked and all that kind of stuff. And so it was pretty ridiculous. And especially if you ripped all the stuff off, seeing the inner skeleton of this thing would just make you laugh, because it's just made of stuff that I had around the house. So I got like Coke cans that I've like, bent in certain ways, and coat hangers. Oh, I use coat hangers for everything. So I have mostly plastic coat hangers in my place now, because all the wire ones I've repurposed for some reason, because you grab a couple pliers and you can bend them and they're strong and awesome. So the entire skeleton. Yeah, but there's very close. We're getting closer. Do you guys know the word I'm talking about?
Yes.
Is it actually a real word? I'm making things up.
Yes. It's a real word.
Okay, how do you pronounce it?
No question.
Yeah, we almost had it. Somebody said it. Skeleture? No, that's not Skeleture. Jeez. We're like hooked on phonics here today. Skeleture. Like, that's not right. I don't know. The bones. So the inner bones of this tauntaun are made mostly of coat hanger. So that's probably my favorite costume so far. This one, unfortunately, by the way, I'm Waldo, but I'm Secret Agent Waldo. So don't tell anybody, because I'm deep undercover, and so is Waldog. But yeah, we're on a top secret assignment. I could tell you, but I'd have to kill you. And I want you to live because it's Halloween, and I need you to collect candy for me tonight. So, we'll deal with that tomorrow.
Skeleture.
Skeleture?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds stupid. I like ours better. Skeleture. Okay, we're rewriting it now. It's now officially Skeleture. Really? Skeleture. I want to put an extra syllable in there just for fun. Skeleture. I like it. It sounds better. Okay, done. Yes.
Can I give you some Halloween candy?
I don't like Halloween, nor do I like candy. Oh no, that's somebody else. This guy loves it. Yes, please. What do we have here?
Happy Halloween.
Thank you. Kit Kats. Check. Kit Kat Halloween edition. What's the difference?
It's orange.
Oh, it's orange?
It's orange.
Does it taste like orange, dude?
Yeah, it's got an orange flavor to it, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so it's white chocolate, so they can make it orange, and now there's going to be orange flavor. Okay, good for you, Kit Kat. Just when I thought you couldn't improve. And big shock coming from you, you found Ninja Turtles candy. So these are fruit-flavored snacks, sponsored by Nickelodeon. Are they in the shapes of the
turtle
of
heads,
the turtles?
and they got Shredder too.
Their heads? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's not creepy at all. Like Raphael, down the pipe. Yeah. Donatello, you will live temporarily. Okay, thank you. Was I answering a question, or I know we were trying to figure out words which are hard. Yeah, let's go.
Are you going to be trying to voice in the new Gundam series that just came out?
Okay, here's the thing about Gundam. I think they're sick of me. So I've been gathering evidence. Incriminating variety evidence of all the players involved. So, I'll be on it. Oh yes, I'll be on it. Oh, damn, my mustache is here. No, to be fair, like Bandai's in kind of a weird state right now, so I wasn't sure if anything was going to be coming back over. But the only opportunity that I'll have to be on the series is if they record it in Vancouver, probably. So if they bring it back up to Ocean or one of the other studios there. And then even that, so that's hurdle number one, is it has to be kind of, a Canadian voiced production, essentially. Hurdle number two is trying to convince them that I haven't worked on 5 Gundam series. And then hurdle number 3 would be actually getting a role on it. But of course, you know me, I would love to. Like, even if I was just, pilot 39F who dies in episode 2, I'd be like, you know what? Best death in Gundam history. Better than that. At the very least. They'd be like, so this guy gets impaled. I'm like, no, I've done that. We're doing something else. No, yeah, he's gonna death by orange Kit Kat or something. It's subtext, you don't understand. I'm a method actor. So yeah, I would love to, because clearly I need to collect more Gundam models. That's sarcasm, yeah. Gundam's dangerous because they're cool robots and they made amazing models of these cool robots. And then, especially for somebody like me that's like, well, I really need a reason to buy these things. Oh, hey, I'm on the show. Sold! All right. And then I wonder why I have no money because I come to a convention, I go to the dealer's room and I walk out with like, 6 Gundam boxes. And, debt. Yeah, we're all in the same boat, we understand. That's why we do this. We're gluttons for punishment, we impose it on ourselves. We're not stopping anytime soon. Yeah. They haven't made a group for that yet. Maybe I should look into that. I might have to spearboard it. Yeah, I might have to spearboard all this. But you know what? I'm a terrible role model. I'd be like, so we're here to, put an end to our Gundam collecting habit. Hell, do what you want. Let's go to the dealer's room right now. This is going to be our interesting therapy. It's like, reverse therapy. We're going to go buy more models until we get sick of it. Which will never happen.
Just have a Gundam building circle.
I went to, I'll get to you in a sec. I went to a convention, it was a Vancouver show, and they had a Gundam building panel, right? And I'm like, oh sweet, I've made a bunch of these things, and I'm getting pretty decent at it. I don't go crazy with like painting them up and all that kind of stuff, usually. Okay, that's not true. That's not entirely true. When I got my Exia from Gundam 00, so I got the first version where he's got the ridiculous blade, right? And it arrives, and everything, like all the pointy bits, all the sharp bits in the weaponry and stuff was in black plastic. And I'm like, I don't understand why that happened. Like, is that a mistake? So I took all those little bits and I silvered them up because I'm like, they should be shiny. Like when that blade comes out, I want it to sound like not. So silver. Okay, so I have customized some. Anyway, I was at this panel where I think like you paid like $10 or something, and they gave you one of the smallest scale models because you only had like a short period of time. It was a regular panel, right? And we basically all kind of sat around in a big circle and built little Gundams. And so I guess the idea was that if it was your first time, you could be building with other people, get some advice, or if you were just like a Gundam aficionado, you could kind of show off some of your skills. Or if you just needed another Gundam for your Gundam collection, this was a good opportunity because you didn't know what was going to be there. You couldn't really pick and choose. It was going to be kind of like a mystery Gundam. So this happened right after my whole Gundam Seed Destiny Owl Death fiasco. So I'm like, okay, well, I want to do this panel. And it was actually a buddy of mine, Matthew Erickson, who was a voice actor as well. He was my doppelganger, Amuro. Little side story, because we recorded Mobile Suit Gundam in Vancouver, and then there was some follow-up stuff with the Amuro character, which they recorded in Alberta, which is a province over from British Columbia, where I am. And so they had to recast. So it was pretty sweet for me because they actually like played my voice as a reference, and I guess they had actors coming in there and trying to do like their Brad Swaile impression. I'm like, wow, I think I've actually made it in the voice world when I got like people mimicking me. Okay, I got a side story for that too. Let me finish. One thing at a time. Wall dog, stop distracting me. So for this Gundam panel, I'm like, okay, well I don't want a mystery Gundam. I'm gonna go pick up my own. So I looked at, okay, so what's go? They're doing like the smallest scale. Okay, awesome. So I picked up an Abyss Gundam, which was Owl's Gundam, the one that sunk to the bottom of the ocean after getting impaled. I'm like, okay, that's the one I want to build because that's kind of the new thing and I don't have it yet. So I went and I found one of those, and then I showed up at the panel and I realized that in the same scale, there's different scales. I'm using the words in different ways. There's different complexities, I guess, levels of whatever. So they had like the basic ones that you could do in an hour, and the one that I had picked up was the same size, but it was a lot more complex. So as other people in this panel were kind of like socializing and sharing stuff, I'm head down, putting this thing together. Like, I have no time, I gotta get this done. So, and then I got people looking at me like, hey, he's cheating. Like, it's not a race, it's not a contest. I just want to build my Abyss Gundam, leave me alone. But I also ransacked some of my other model kits and my other toy accessories and stuff. So I made the Abyss Gundam in that moment where he had been impaled with a big staff. And I took like, I think it was, I can't remember what it was. It might have been like lightning from a Star Wars thing, like an Emperor Star Wars figure or something. So I'm like, okay, sorry Emperor, you're done because I need to steal your lightning. So I took a staff from like a, I think it was a Mobile Suit Gundam, like an RX-78 that I had. So I'm like, okay, there you go. I'm gonna modify that with a little explosion type thing. So it's gonna be in the chest. And then I have this electricity kind of come out of there. And then I'm gonna have this big, crazy big pose. And I brought in my little owl Gashapon figure. And so I got this all done and I was like, whew, all right, sweet. And then, so at the end of this panel, we set all ours up, and I set mine up, and mine looked so much better than everybody else's, because I brought in like a little LED light that I put under it and stuff, and so people were walking around, they're like, Brad, I'm like, I know, I'm not eligible. I didn't know they were awarding prizes and stuff like that, so I actually had to write a sign saying like, not eligible, but sweet though, right? Yeah. No, I came prepared. I knew what I was getting myself into. And it was basically because I wanted to show off for Matthew, because he had done that panel the year before, and he's like, yeah, I made a pretty killer gun. I'm like, all right, competition is a healthy thing. Except when I'm involved, then it gets weird. Yep.
5 minutes.
Okay, 5 minutes. I have a question back here. Yes. Wow, we filled that pretty quick. And I told like 2 stories and answered half the question. Yeah.
Have you actually ever sat down and watched series that you have played a part in?
That's a good question, actually. I've never seen myself. No, that's not true. So I used to watch, again, single tier, the Saturday morning cartoons. So in the time that I was working on like X-Men Evolution and Mega Man NT Warrior and stuff, they were both on the Kids WB block on Saturday mornings. So we were just talking about this on the walk over here. One of the things that I really miss about those days was, 2 of my favorite shows, X-Men and Mega Man. And because it was Kids WB and they were all in the same block, sometimes I get called in to do like the little animated sequences between the shows. So like, stay tuned to Kids WB, because coming up next we have Mega Man NT Warrior or something like that. And they'd have like a little, animated Lan walking around saying this, or Nightcrawler would come in and be like, don't leave, we're coming back with more X-Men Evolution. Chicks take the fuzzy beaver, or something like that. So that was just sweet. So I used to watch those pretty regularly. As far as anime series go, it's really hard to listen to yourself. Some people don't have a problem with it. I just cringe when I listen to some of this stuff. Now it's true, like sometimes I'll be like, all right, that was pretty good. That was pretty good, that delivery of that, punch reaction or whatever. But a lot of times the dialogue, I'm just like, oh, if I had one more take, I could have just really, so I'm just very judgmental on my performances. So I've watched, a chunk of my stuff, but there's a few series that I've kind of sat down and watched start to finish. Partly because they're really expensive to collect sometimes, which we all know. So usually it's the shorter series that I try and get through, like Infinite Revias or Soul Taker, which are like all these series you've never heard of. The other ones I kind of watch little bits and pieces of when I can get my hands on it. But like a lot of people, I have a lot of incomplete collections, because I started trying to collect all the, Death Note or whatever, and then I get distracted by something shiny, and so I miss out on 4 volumes. I'm like, I'll get to them later. I actually did finally complete my Death Note volume collection because I wanted to make an AMV from Death Note. I'm like, well, I need to have all the materials at my disposal. So I went through everything and started grabbing scenes, and then made my first AMV, which was a music video to one of the Maximum the Hormone songs from the second opening or whatever, so it's pretty crazy. So yeah, I've seen some, and there's a lot more that I would like to see. Well, shit, I think we're out of time, which is kind of unfortunate, but I'll be back again. I've been here a bunch of times, so you're not getting rid of me, not without a fight anyway. So, happy Halloween, everyone. Thanks for coming by. You guys absolutely rule, as always, and I hope you're having a fantastic time. I got a panel tonight at, I think it's like 10:30. It's voice actors after dark, or voiceover. I think it might be 18 plus. I'm supposed to be playing some guitar with Random Gibberish tomorrow during their concert. We did that last night at the Secret Show too. It was fun. Secret Show. And I have more autographs tomorrow at some point. And enjoy Halloween. You got a question?
Also, I think it was skeletal structure, and you were trying to smash in one word.
Skeletal structure. Skeletal.
Yeah.
What was I trying to say? What was the word?
We were saying skeletal.
Skelecature.
I
Yeah.
don't think that's a word. but I
Skelecature.
think it was.
Skeletal structure. No, we can come up. We can do better than that. All right. Okay, that's your homework for next time. Find the actual word or make up a better one than I did. All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. I was supposed to.